In today's transfer plans video, we're going to review how we did in game week 4 and also see how I'm going to address some of the issues with my squad going forward in the next few weeks of FPL. So let's jump into another Fantasy Premier League video. Just before I review how I did in game week 4, I want to say a big thank you for all of the support from you guys at home. We hit 500 subscribers on my deadline stream, and we now have a new goal of 1,000 subscribers just above my head here. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, please do consider dropping a subscribe for weekly FPL content and deadline streams. But let's get stuck into how we did. Sort of 50 points overall, remaining in the top 100k, sort of 96,000th in the world now instead of sort of 38,000th I was. Sort of we have dropped all the way from top 20k down to 96k. So obviously a disappointing kind of last 2 weeks, but we'll sort of speak on the problems of the team as we go through. I'm going to start with sort of the good points of the team and then move on to some of the more problematic assets in the side. A great week from David Raya and Saka. Will kind of link them up as the Arsenal assets there. David Raya sort of getting a clean sheet in the fixture. I really didn't expect a clean sheet in. I expected Solanke to maybe punish him a little bit more, but he did get good chances. Solanke, it's just Gabriel and Saliba played a really good game and kind of limiting sort of how good his chances were. Of course, save point for David Raya as well. Bonus points for David Raya as well. It's a good week to own David Raya, an Arsenal defender, especially Gabriel scoring that goal. So, yeah, really pleased with that, sort of getting the points total of a fixture I didn't think was going to happen. Lewis Dunk, we'll actually speak about Saka first, being an Arsenal player as well, getting an assist in that fixture. Didn't look sort of as threatening as a goal threat, sort of helping out sort of on defence quite a bit on that sort of right hand side, doubling up with Ben White to sort of deal with Sonny and other players around that area. But yeah, then we'll move on to Lewis Dunk there. Obviously 6 points, clean sheet. In a fixture, I expected him to get a clean sheet. So, yeah, that's always nice when you kind of get a points total from a player that you kind of sort of expect to get a clean sheet. Really great news. Watkins up top, scoring 2 goals, sort of maybe improving his confidence a little bit. He was quite disappointed in himself not to get the hat-trick. And, of course, Rodgers on that right-hand side, we sort of come into sort of some of the more disappointing assets there. Played a great ball across the box to Ollie Watkins. It just was a little bit too close to the goalkeeper and sort of out of reach of Ollie Watkins. He sort of shown a great frustration in that moment. Ollie Watkins, he was really determined to score more goals in that fixture, which is a great sign to see from your striker. And obviously, I'm really pleased with Ollie Watkins scoring and sort of helping me build that deficit that Haaland has caused me to be in. And of course, Salah not performing as my captain really kind of put the nail in the coffin for a red arrow this game week. I was only 8 points away from my safety score, so a return from Salah, maybe something from Rodgers in that fixture. You're looking at a green. It's sort of the fine margins in this game and sort of little things that kind of put you down. But look, overall with the squad, I was pretty happy going into the week. I was pretty certain I was going to get a green arrow, but things didn't go exactly as planned. Of course, Lewis Dunk coming off at Rico Lewis, coming off at half-time wasn't ideal. Eze not on penalties, something we didn't really expect whatsoever to happen. Sort of on that sort of topic of Eze, it seems like Mateta and Eze will share penalties going in towards the future, but the way Glasner has said it, they will decide on the pitch who takes the penalty, and I sort of think on the form Mateta is in terms of goal scoring this calendar year, it's probably going to be Mateta, isn't it? Maybe Eze takes a few in the future, perhaps when Mateta's not on the pitch, but I don't really expect that to happen too much. So that does put Eze down as an asset just a little bit for me, but he's a quality player. I'm probably not going to get rid of him anytime soon. Maybe if we see 1 or 2 weeks more of sort of disappointing-ish performances from Palace, it's something I could definitely look at. We'll move over to the other side there. Palmer sort of against Bournemouth away. A fixture which was kind of filled with yellow cards, filled with stoppages, kind of both teams not being able to, get going in the game because of the amount of stoppages. Palmer didn't really show too much of sort of goal involvement. He was trying to get the team going, but sort of very flat from Chelsea in that final third, not linking up too greatly and sort of losing the ball in places where they shouldn't really lose the ball. Players like Sancho losing the ball quite close to his own box and things like that. Madueke came off early, which was something I did predict would happen in this fixture as well. Have I spoke about Trent? I haven't spoke about Trent, and I will speak about Trent because, again, disappointing. I suppose I could be disappointed with the whole side, but we haven't done too awful this week. We really haven't. But with Trent, I did maybe expect a clean sheet this week because of how good the Liverpool defence was. But Forest played them. Forest absolutely played them and have come away from Anfield with 3 points, which is a big boost for that Forest side. Salah, of course, not being able to get going as my captain really put the nail in the coffin, like I mentioned, for the Red Arrow. Yeah, it's sort of disappointments all over the park. JOAO Pedro with that injury that we heard nothing about. Of course, WISSA scoring on my bench there is a bit of a pain as well. But hey, we'll look at how we line up for Game Week 5 in the next section of the video. But yeah, let me know how you did this game week. I know lots of FPL managers are down and a bit upset with how their side did this week, but it seems like kind of everyone is in the same boat, apart from a few managers who did pick the right captain and sort of didn't have some of the more big assets like I do in this team this game week. So yeah, let's take a look at how I'm going to deal with this in Game Week 5. As always, we're going to use Fantasy Football Hub to plan ahead with my squad to see how I'm going to look in the next few weeks. I do believe their 50% off is coming to an end very, very soon. So if you are interested in their tools, their Opta stats, fixture predictions, fixture tickers, price changes, articles, there's so much they offer. So if you do want to check that out, the link is in the description. But let's move on to how I might line up for Game Week 5. And it's sort of the first change I will make to the squad is Robinson will probably come in and Rico Lewis will drop to the bench. I feel as though as an Arsenal at home fixture, Pep might prefer playing someone like Kyle Walker on that right-hand side and then Guardiola on that left-hand side, sort of to deal with Saka. You can maybe expect an update in terms of minutes for City in their Champions League fixture. You're sort of looking at sort of Villa, Liverpool and Arsenal as well with Champions League fixtures that we can kind of monitor minutes for players. Another move I'm tempted to make off the bench here is perhaps Ramsdale in for David Raya, but it's sort of a situation where I think Ipswich can definitely score on that fixture. It's maybe save points you're looking at in between both Raya and Ramsdale. Arsenal by far the best defence in the league, probably. Well, I mean, we say that each week. Maybe Liverpool the best, Arsenal the best. They've just got a clean sheet away from home at Spurs, where Spurs had a full strength squad, arguably. So yeah, perhaps it's just I keep Raya in. Perhaps I go Ramsdale. It's kind of a decision I'm not too sure on at the moment, but maybe I chase the upside in a slightly lesser owned keeper of Ramsdale. So we'll put Ramsdale in for now. Everyone's fixtures are sort of okay. Maybe the fixtures I'm not too keen on here out of everyone is sort of Saka's fixture, obviously, with that City away fixture. Perhaps we see consistently get sort of one attack and return every week, which I don't mind too much of. Of course, a massive sell-off for Saka before the Game Week 4 deadline. Of course, a lot of people moving to Salah and, of course, Salah Blanken. So obviously a disappointment for a lot of managers there. I owned both, so at least I get my Saka points that last week. But yeah, sort of a fixture I'm not looking too forward to with owning Saka. But I said that about Spurs. He got an assist, so we move on. Robinson with the Newcastle at home fixture. Newcastle, I don't even know what to think. Obviously, EZE came off at half-time with sort of a facial injury. People were saying it's a broken nose. People say it was an eye issue. Howe isn't really great at telling us what goes on with his sort of injury, so I guess we'll find out a lot closer to the deadline, sort of an update on EZE. But if it's sort of a facial injury, if it's not major, he's probably going to be playing, isn't he? But yeah, not too pleased about playing Robinson there. But with the injuries I've got in the squad, I'm going to kind of have to sort of make sacrifices and play players I don't really necessarily want to play this game week. So yeah, everyone else's fixtures look pretty good. I would probably captain Mohamed Salah here, or you could maybe look at an Ollie Watkins as sort of a different option to go for, but with sort of Champions League coming up, a lot of minutes for Ollie Watkins. We're probably looking at maybe 70 minutes, maybe less in this Wolves fixture, but we really don't know until these champion fixtures come and go. But yeah, let's move on to sort of the big issues in the squad, because there are some players that I don't want to play, but they're not issues. They are fit and they probably will play JOAO Pedro, we don't know any information of in terms of his injury. Of course, he had a knock from the international break, and we just had no information on that whatsoever, which is just such a shame, because I maybe wouldn't have even played him. I probably would have took a punt on just putting WISSA up front, but hey, you never know in these sort of situations. So if JOAO Pedro is sort of injured, I can see myself playing WISSA, but of course WISSA is injured, so why are you doing that? Because it would probably be a transfer out for someone like Nketiah and someone like Calvert-Lewin. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards buying Calvert-Lewin, and playing him in the Leicester away fixture. It is still my opinion that Everton are probably one of the weaker sides in the Premier League. They haven't impressed me whatsoever, really, as a Premier League team, but going forward, they have shown a little bit of promise, okay? McNeil doing okay, getting sort of decent points. Calvert-Lewin showing a little bit of promise here and there, but his finishing in a sort of football ability in that final third is a bit lackluster at times. So it's sort of a move that I'm not really wanting to make. But if WISSA is out for sort of the length of time we think he is out, it could be a decent move. Because look, when you look at Calvert-Lewin's fixtures, we're sort of looking at quite decent fixtures for the next few weeks, so it's someone I could put in as a cheap player, someone around that same price point as WISSA, and it will kind of help me in the next few weeks to go towards Erling Haaland. But let's say JOAO Pedro is completely fit, like I think probably he will be. I don't think it's going to be a massive issue for Brighton, but we'll kind of look forward into the next few weeks for game week 6, a week where Haaland is going to start coming into good fixtures. City as a whole are going to start to come into good fixtures. Arsenal are going to have good fixtures. So where do we really go from there? It's sort of removing the likes of Lewis Dunk that week, or perhaps even just seeing if I can survive a week without a transfer to go into game week 7 with maybe 4 or possibly even 5 free transfers. And with those sort of free transfer numbers, I can definitely afford a move to Erling Haaland. It just probably will result in sort of dealing with the issues I have at that point in game week 7. Sort of Salah possibly coming out, Palmer possibly coming out, moving away from a Watkins, and maybe upgrading the defence just a little bit. So it could look like these players leave the squad. Someone like Haaland coming in, and Mbeumo, a popular pick in my opinion as well. Maybe moving into sort of an Arsenal defence like this, doubling up with Gabriel and Raya, getting in Pedro Porro for his good fixtures coming up as well, and then sort of playing out with sort of the rest of the money I have left, 7.5, and you're sort of looking at maybe some of the other options. Maybe Gibbs White comes in with sort of okay fixtures in the next few as well, and obviously saving $1 million in the bank. Then it allows me to have Erling Haaland going from game week 7 onwards for sort of some really good fixtures coming up there. So that's sort of how I'm feeling, going forward in the next few weeks of FPL. It's purely a point now where I'm not going to make any early moves. I'm going to wait on information, because if Saka's injured and we hear something about that, maybe he's out for 1 or 2 weeks, possibly a transfer out. JOAO Pedro, big knock, perhaps he might be out for a few weeks. He's a transfer out. So there's a lot of things that could happen in terms of what we find out midweek. I'm just going to wait and see, to be honest with you. I would love to be able to roll a transfer, but if I do need to address the issues and sort of have a starting 11, I'm going to have to do that as an FPL manager. But yeah, that's how I'm going to line up for game week 5 onwards. As always, I just like to outro my videos with a big thank you to you guys at home for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. Of course, hitting that subscriber goal of 500 subs is absolutely fantastic, and I really do appreciate all of your support at home. If you aren't subscribed to the channel just yet, and you do like weekly FPL content and deadline streams, do go ahead and subscribe to the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.